So in this video, we're going to solve a linear equation. So from previous examples, we know we want to get x by itself, and that means we have to get rid of this number in front of x, which is 2/5. And also pay attention to the operation between them, which is multiplication here. So in order to get rid of number times x, we do opposite of times, which is division. And the number here is a fraction, which makes it more complicated. So if this will work if we do this. So okay, we want to get rid of a number times x. So you will do opposite, which is divide. We will divide the left hand side by the number, whichever the number we want to get rid of. But when you do this, and it looks kind of complicated, because it's a complex fraction, it has fraction in the fraction. But if you understand this is like a fraction divided by another fraction, any number divided itself, you will cancel them out. So they will be canceled all together. You will get just the x on the left hand side. And the right hand side, you can turn this little horizontal line into the other. We're going to replace that with the other division symbol. And so we are doing 16 divided by 2/5. And we learn how to divide fractions, which is keep, change, flip. So we're going to turn this into, keep the first number 16, and you can turn that into a fraction 16 over 1. If you that way you can see it better. 16 is the top number, the numerator. And we're going to change division to multiplication and flip. The 5 to the top, 2 to the bottom. Now this division question is turned into a multiplication problem, and to do multiplication we multiply straight across. So that way we will get 40. And how did we get 40? And you could multiply 16 and 5 to get 80, and 80 divided by 2 is 40. But the quick way would be we can reduce the numbers first. For example, 2 and 16, they both have 2 in common. So we're going to do 16 divided by 2, that gives us 8, and 2 divided by 2, that gives us 1. And now you multiply straight across. 8 times 5 is 40, and 1 times 1 is 1. So we should get 40 over 1, but 40 over 1 is the same as 40. Any number divided by 1 will be itself. So that's the answer. But notice here, in this process, it's sort of complicated with the fraction in the fraction. So we're going to try to come up with a different way to do this, or quick way, or it's more like a shortcut. So notice in the important process right here, in order to get rid of 2/5, what we did is we divide both sides by divide both sides by 2/5. The left hand side divided by 2/5. The right hand side divided by 2/5. So if I use the symbol, okay, well, so both sides, I'm going to just say left hand side and also right hand side. So the left hand side and also the right hand side divided by, so divide by 2/5. And this apparently is division of fractions. And remember the rule that tells us to keep whatever you left hand side, keep whatever the right hand side. And then division to change it to multiplication and flip. So this is supposed to be done by division, but we can quickly apply the division rule of fractions to turn the division question into multiplication. So we can skip the step of division. So now we're going to keep whatever the left hand side, 2/5, and keep the right hand side, 16. But instead, we're going to change the division to, so left hand side, right hand side, we'll keep them. But we're going to change the division to times. And we're also going to flip 2/5 to 5/2. So we can literally skip the step of dividing by both sides by 2/5 and just jump into this next step, which is times 5/2. And if you remember 5/2, we have a name. We call it reciprocal of. It's the reciprocal of 2/5. So let's take a look at the steps here. So again, we're supposed to divide both sides, divide by 2/5, divide by 2/5. But since the division rule of fractions telling us we can change division to multiplication by flipping the next fraction. So why don't we, they're equal, they're equivalent. So why don't we do multiplication? Because multiplication is easier. Instead of it's quicker than division. So instead of doing division divided by 2/5, we could just do this times 5/2. So when we have, if you try to get rid of a fraction by dividing it, instead of dividing itself, we can choose to take a shortcut by times the reciprocal. So what we're going to do is a quick way. So I'm going to write down the quick way here. Oops. So that should be the original problem was 2/5 x equals 16. Again, we're supposed to do this, but we're going to take a shortcut. We're going to times both sides by 5/2. So I'm going to take, first of all, this is the number we want to get rid of. We're not going to divide by it. We're going to do times. Well, you can put it right after it or in front of it. It doesn't matter because the commutative property. But times what? Times the reciprocal, which means you're going to flip 2/5 to 5/2. I guess if it confuses you, putting it here, you could put right here times 5/2. Let me rewrite it. It's because it looks a little messy here. So I'm going to leave a little bit space between 2/5 and x. So the original problem was 2/5. I'm going to leave a space here because I need to multiply it by its reciprocal. So again, we're not going to do division. We're going to do times because they're equivalent, but not times this same number. It's times the reciprocal, which means you flip the top and the bottom. And again, whatever we do to the left, we must do the same thing to the right-hand side. So we're going to times 5/2. And notice this step matches right here, 16 times 5/2, because we skipped this division step. Again, why? Because division is equivalent to multiplying the reciprocal. And so that's a shortcut. And now notice the left-hand side, the top 2 cancels bottom 2, top 5 cancels bottom 5. So the left-hand side, we're left with the x. And the right-hand side, we reduce 2 and 16 and to get 8 here. And 8 times 5 gives us 40. So this is a little quicker, saving a step.